All right, and it is time for Free Speech Fridays, where we get two free-speaking New Zealanders and we talk about the issues of the week. This is brought to you by the Free Speech Union. You can check them out at fsu.nz. They are the champions, the absolute champions of free speech in New Zealand, and they fight everywhere to preserve, to protect, to enhance free speech in this country, and they will go to fight for you if you need them. Check them out, fsu.nz. And our guest this week, I think quite a developing duo is what I like to think of them as. Former ACT MP and leader of the Centre for Political Research, Muriel Newman. Former National Cabinet Minister, now Auckland City Councillor, and fashion icon, Maurice Williamson. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning, Muriel.
Good morning.
Guys, let's deal with the one in front of us yesterday, of course. Despite all the claims of it being a threat to democracy and everything, everyone in Parliament voted along party lines. And Rawiri and Debbie out for 21 days, Maipi Clark out for 7 days. What's the big deal? They effed around and they found out, didn't they, Muriel?
Yeah, I think this is a case of Parliament handling the situation really well. I think that when the public watched what was going on, and obviously when other MPs watched what was going on that day when the haka was performed, it was an outrage. And I think the fear was that, Parliament would go soft on it. And so I think it's restored some of our faith in the institution, that they've actually dished out a pretty harsh, response. And obviously it's meant to stop that sort of thing happening in the future. So I say well done to them all.
Yeah. Maurice, it would seem to me... here's a question for both of you. Do you know if the suspension is from sitting days or just days of the week?
Days of the week.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't keep them out of the parliamentary debating chamber for 21 sitting days.
That would be for 3 or 4 months, because they
that's what I was hoping.
Have 2 weeks off, and they only sit for 3 days. So you'd be talking months.
All right, Maurice. What would have happened if they just got a day each? I think they would have done it over and over and over again.
Well, can I go back to sort of first principles here? You join an organisation and participate in it, knowing there are rules. Now, if you take the marae, there are rules that women can't speak, must sit in the second row, etc. Maori would be outraged if a woman just walked through, says, "Get out of my way, I'm speaking, I'm sitting up front." And I think Maori would have every right to be. The rules of the marae are very clear and you abide by them. Parliament has very specific rules. Some of them I don't even agree with, but as Groucho Marx says, I wouldn't want to join a club that would have me as a member.
But Maurice, they're white colonialist Pākehā rules.
It's just, what nonsense. What absolute bloody nonsense. For example, I've heard TVNZ just some crap this morning about, they was trying to stop a haka. There's been a number of hakas in Parliament, but let me tell you how. You go to the Speaker and say, we're going to be celebrating a particular treaty settlement. We would like to be able to perform a haka at the end of it. Right now, that'll be at 6:15, and it's okay. You'll have these many people in the gallery. All sorted, all done. And it occurs. This was pre-planned by letting the media know, but they never let the Speaker know. So Parliament didn't know it was coming, but the media were all waiting for it. And then somehow it's, Parliament's trying to stop the haka. Never. The haka's occurred many times when I've been there. It was to do with what I think was just a rebellion of just disgraceful proportions, and they knew that it would cause trouble. They knew that in advance. Yeah. And to say, we're shocked at how we've been treated now is nonsense. Yeah. Just bloody nonsense.
Yeah, Muriel, do you think it had to be this severe, or it was just they were going to laugh at the Privileges Committee, laugh at the rules of the House?
Yeah, I think it had to be really severe because, as Maurice said, otherwise it's just going to keep happening again and again and again because, that's what they do. They're trying to create anarchy within the institution of Parliament and, hopefully this will stop them.
Yeah.
And Sean, one of the most watertight rules in the place, and I promise you're all indoctrinated on it. Because of the intimidation factor, you're all told when a vote is being taken, you are not to ever sort of call out or speak or say anything.
Yeah, it goes very... I wonder why it always went quiet when the vote was being taken.
You are told you're literally dead if you do that, because of the fact that you could say to someone, you're going to lose your seat if you vote this way, and they're sitting there panicking and so on. So the rules were set down and made very clear. While a vote is being taken, you say and you do nothing. So they leap up and scream into a haka while the vote is being taken, and then go, oh, look at how badly you're treating us.
Yeah. Muriel, will you miss them for 21 days? Surely the light entertainment value of Parliament and political discourse. Mind you, there's absolutely nothing to stop them, Muriel, putting out press releases and doing everything they normally do. They're just not getting paid.
Well, that's right. And, no, I don't think Parliament will miss them at all. In fact, it'll probably, trundle along a lot happier.
I'm not clear. Look, I just want to get this clear. They're not allowed to come to work? Like, is it garden leave? Or is it just the money? Because if it's not being suspended from being in the House, are they not allowed to turn up for work or talk to their staff or secretaries? I'm just wondering actually how real this sanction is.
Well, I think you're missing a point here, guys.
Yeah?
You don't show up to Parliament at any rate.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. How would we know? What discernible difference would there be? Yes. Okay, fair enough.
They demanded we didn't do this so they could take part in the budget debate, and then the budget debate occurred and they weren't there.
Yeah, okay, that
so
actually
it won't
is
make
really
any
good.
difference at all. The world will just carry on as it always has.
All right. Yeah, I get that. Look, they'll probably be able to go now to things like the New Zealand Music Awards, won't they? Where they'd feel very at home.
Hang on. I got to get Winston's magic words, and he said, I am the most travelled foreign minister. I am just on a plane all the time. I'm overseas. I think he's done 59 overseas trips. And he said, and yet I have spent more hours in this house than the Maori party all put together.
He's a rotter, isn't he? The ex-deputy prime minister. Look, but they'll be able to go to taxpayer fund and things like the New Zealand Music Awards. Now, Muriel, that was a storm in a teacup that turned into certainly for the left-wing lovies on social media and the left-wing journalists, Chris Bishop, you'd think he'd taken a shot at the Pope or something because he upset Don McGlashan. Firstly, do you agree with what Chris Bishop said, that raving Toita Treaty flag at that event was crap?
Yeah, I think when you watch the performance, the guy sings really well, and that was a point that Chris Bishop made. But the overt politicisation, I just think, was horrible and not appropriate. However, it's art, isn't it? And apparently anything goes. So
no, it's not art. It's political rhetoric, and that's that flag is a registered commercial trademark, registered by someone associated with the Māori Party.
Yeah.
But
he said what he thought, and he didn't apologise, and the Prime Minister was quite comfortable with the whole situation, so... I say good on him for speaking out, and it's actually very refreshing to hear people in high places saying what they actually think for a change.
Yeah, but come on, Muriel. It's not like they're now going to go to the government agencies like Te Mangapa who funded that and do anything about stopping that happening again in the future. The hijacking of a cultural event by politics. So I'm sorry, that's big talk without much action, Maurice, isn't it?
Yeah, but look, I always say turn it round the other way. If a group of my Tory mates got up with our guitars and started bashing out the treaty is a fraud, disgraceful treaty, evil...
There'd be a bloody riot.
And there were Maori sitting in front of us, you'd be literally in jail for it. They'd be saying that was breaching their culture and so on.
Yeah.
Chris Bishop had every right, when he's looking at something and he thinks it's crap, to say, hey, this is crap.
Yeah.
What's wrong with... I don't even know why that became a story.
Yeah, I don't think he should have apologised, actually. I think he should have said that it was crap because it was inappropriate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. What I was looking at was crap, and I said so. And if you're not allowed to... you prefix your Free Speech Friday with Ronald Reagan saying he thinks that George Orwell's definition of free speech was the ability to say no. How about you're sitting in a concert and it's bloody dreadful and you're not allowed to say something?
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of a society
Well, his
would
problem
that be?
was he was standing next to His Holy Eminence, the Blessed Don McGlashan of the Front Lawn and Mutton Birds, Morris.
So?
Yeah, exactly. But mainstream media, mate, that's like Don McGlashan is like the second coming of Jesus Christ.
I'm surprised Chris Bishop hasn't been put in jail for some months for that disgraceful thing of saying what crap that was. Yeah. Good on him. Good on him.
You say good on him too, Muriel?
Absolutely. More of it, please.
Yeah. I think the debate over it spoke so much to a lot of the problems with our news media, to be honest, and that it was made the sort of story it was, and that they didn't see the angle that it wasn't appropriate what Stan Walker did. I would have been fine, to be honest, guys, with that performance had it not been for the branding of Toitu Te Treaty. If the flags hadn't been there, even if it had been, that Maori flag with the swirly thing, I would have been fine with that. But that is an overtly and a commercially political flag. And
well, I don't know about what it was.
Yeah.
I don't care what it was, but what I do care is you're not allowed to say it's crap.
Yeah, okay. So we've got two arguments running there. Yeah. Would you have been fine with that performance if it didn't have Toitu Te Treaty on it, Muriel? I mean, you wouldn't have had to like it.
No, that's right. And it was exactly the point you made, that the fact that they used a political flag from a political party for a political stunt that they pulled, which was a huge one, that was the thing that, in my mind, made it overtly political because, the words he sang, the actual performing of the haka on the stage, I mean, we've seen it before, it was done well, but it had this political overlay that was completely inappropriate. And so good on Chris for saying what he said.
All right. Look, the other thing is the Association of Music Artists for Aotearoa, whatever they call, and Recorded Music New Zealand, they put out a statement saying that what Chris Bishop did was not in the mahi or whatever of the event. They created a tolerant space where all views are welcome and everyone's respected. And the hypocrisy, they put that statement out with no one's name on it because that's what woke organisations do. No one owns anything. But so they were basically saying we're all for free speech and tolerance as long as Don McGlashan agrees with you. And they made no criticism of Don McGlashan personally abusing another member of the audience to their face. I thought, Morris, that was just the height of rubbish. And mainstream media didn't point that out at all.
Look, if you're ever expecting the mainstream media to give you any balance to anything, because the TVNZ this morning have covered this haka business in Parliament, and the entire story was Parliament's disrespect of the haka and how dreadful sewing people out for wanting to do the haka. And no something from the other side at all. Not anyone saying no, it was nothing to do with that. The haka's fine and has been.
Did they have Judith on explaining what the Privileges Committee had done and why?
Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. They had Te Flavel on from the Maori Party, and all he was doing was saying, this is disrespectful of the culture and Maori. And, of course, it's nothing to do with that whatsoever. But the day you expect the mainstream media to give you any balance and coverage, you best to give up.
Mm. Did you find that statement, Muriel, just so hypocritical? We're all for tolerance if we agree with you, and otherwise we can abuse the crap out of you.
And that's the problem, isn't it? With society at the moment. If you say anything against this whole sort of political theme that goes along under the radar, it's there and it's intimidatory and it bullies and all the rest of it. And if you actually say anything that crosses it, you are ostracised, you're crucified and all the rest of it. And yet it's the thing that's actually creating the problem in New Zealand and making free speech almost a blinking thing of the past.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing, If you open your mouth and somebody catches you, like Don McGlashan or someone with a cell phone that sends it to the media, I mean, you're flipping well done. It's
all right, we're going to talk about recording things on cell phones after the break we're about to take on Free Speech Fridays.